Mud is a portion of nature's best medication, and messing through it in the Ford Bronco comes unequivocally suggested. The Bronco is Ford's solution to the long-term unchallenged outcome of the Jeep Wrangler. Like the Jeep, the Bronco comes in 2 and 4 entryway assortments, and it highlights both a discretionary manual transmission and 4-wheel drive. Indeed, even the most fundamental Bronco has a lot of enthusiasm from a 300 horsepower turbocharged inline-4 with a 10-speed programmed transmission or inaccessible 7-speed manual. The more out-of-control powertrain is a 330 horsepower twin Super V6. The Bronco Raptor, inspected independently, has 418 drive however as an alternate monster totally. Inside the Bronco is a rough control room that is not difficult to tidy up. Simple to drive in the middle between campgrounds, the Bronco ends up being a balance of fun way of life vehicle and legitimate stone slithering device. Accessible with 2 or 4 entryways, soft tops or hard tops, and removable bodyboards, the Bronco offers the very outside prospects that make the Wrangler an open-air individual's joy. The Ford's inside has a couple of additional developments than the Jeep as well. For instance, the Bronco has a rack incorporated into the highest point of dashboard, permits cell phones and GoPros to be mounted there. It likewise has frameless entryways that are not difficult to eliminate. Notwithstanding, their long side glass can catch the weather stripping, and they permit additional breeze clamor to enter the lodge. In any case, the drawn-out wheelbase 4 entryway models have space on board to store each of the 4 entryways. Since the outside mirrors are mounted on the foundation of the windshield, they're as yet usable when the entryways are taken off. When presented to the components, the lodge can be safeguarded with the accessible rubber-treated ground surface and marine-grade vinyl upholstery. The people who need a fancier climate can settle on cowhide seating surfaces, yet the inside's sweeping areas of plastic look modest on upper trims. Indeed, even in the 2 entryway Bronco, there's adequate room in the secondary lounge to easily fit 2 grown-ups. The 4 entryway variant alone has a 3rd, center seat in the back and offers a hair more legroom, however the greater part of its additional length applies to the freight region, which is in excess of 50% bigger than the 2 entryway. Both the 2 and 4 entryway Ford Bronco models are evaluated to tow 3,500 pounds, equivalent to the Wrangler. Passage's most recent in-run Sync 4 programming powers a 12.0-inch touchscreen that is implanted in the Bronco's dashboard. The arrangement permits over-the-air refreshes and can associate with the cloud and the client's cell phone remotely. The infotainment framework likewise upholds a large group of current infotainment includes that incorporate Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and a membership-based Wi-Fi area of interest. The unit can likewise be overhauled with positive choices, for example, worked in route and an all the more impressive B&O sound system. Beside dropping the Bronco's base trim, not much changes for the Bronco in 2024. The 12.0-inch infotainment screen is currently standard and the Bronco Badlands Wilderness trim gets an uncompromising guard with its flock of gear. The 2024 Ford Bronco begins at $41,025 and goes up to more than $71,000. The Big Blend trim is somewhat simple, yet mid-range trims, for example, Black Diamond and Outer Banks offer more highlights. We'd suggest a 4 entryway Black Diamond. For under $50,000, you get standard highlights like Ford's GO80 drive modes, 32-inch tires, a powder-covered steel guard, extra slam plates, and admittance to lots of extra production line choices. There's a standard 300 horsepower turbocharged 2.3-liter 4-chamber or a discretionary 330 horsepower twin Super 2.7-liter V6. A 10-speed programmed transmission bolts to the 2 gas motors, however a 7-speed manual is just viable with the more modest one. Sadly, neither one of the motors has an energetic soundtrack. Each Mustang sends capacity to every one of the 4 wheels, and its free front suspension is more complex than Jeep's front stick pivot. Other critical choices incorporate 35-inch mud landscape tires, beadlock skilled wheels, electronic locking front and back differentials, and an influence bar disengage highlight. The 4-chamber Bronco with the programmed transmission is the thriftiest variation, with appraisals of 20 miles per gallon in the city and 22 on the expressway. Move up to the V6 rendition with the Yeti bundle that incorporates forceful, curiously large tires, and its mileage plunges to 17 miles per gallon both in the city and on the parkway. The Bronco is accessible with a setup of driver help innovation, including programmed high pillars and stopping sensors. It likewise has hardware that makes low-speed rock slithering and trail driving simpler. Key security highlights include accessible forward impact advance notice and robotized crisis slowing down. Accessible vulnerable side observing and back cross traffic alert. Accessible path takeoff and path keeping help. Ford gives a serious restricted and powertrain guarantee that lines up with the majority of its opponents. However, it lacks the complementary maintenance that some competitors provide. Restricted guarantee covers 3 years or 36,000 miles. Powertrain guarantee covers 5 years or 60,000 miles. No free booked upkeep.